This is a story about a device that changed the restaurant industry forever. So it's 1971, and Mariano Martinez is opening his first restaurant. On opening night, a huge crowd shows up, and the bartenders cannot keep up with the orders. The customers were waiting for their margaritas, and they were getting hot under the collar. When the margaritas actually came, they weren't good because the bartenders were just throwing everything in the blenders without measuring it to crank them out. The whole thing just turned into a disaster by the time the evening was over. Mariano realized that if he was really going to be a success, he needed to keep the margaritas flowing. My name is Pat Sharp. I'm the restaurant critic at Texas Monthly, and I wrote the story In the Limelight. I have been working at Texas Monthly for 50 years. By the time I started at Texas Monthly, Mariano had already invented the frozen margarita machine. But it wasn't until he had that anniversary in 2021 that I became aware. 50 years, that is an incredible news peg. So I got in touch with him, and as soon as he started talking about it, I knew that it was a story that I wanted to pursue.
No, aquí porque si se me olvida algo, where can they sit?
In all white, that is a vibe.
I'm the white knight, baby. Okay, my name is Mariano Martinez, pronounced in Spanish, Mariano. And I'm the inventor of the world's first frozen margarita machine.
Mariano grew up in Dallas in the 1940s and the 1950s. And there was a lot of prejudice against people of Mexican origin. He wanted to be a success for himself. He wanted to be a success because he was a Mexican American. It was really, really important to him. And he thought, well, there's one thing that I do know, and that's Mexican food. Mariano's mother and father were both in the Mexican restaurant business, so he knew that really well. So that was his career path. So it's 1971, and Mariano Martinez is opening his first restaurant. 1971 was really a pretty pivotal point in food and beverage history in Texas. 1971 was the year that the legislature passed liquor by the drink. And so that meant that patrons didn't have to take bottles of liquor to the restaurant. They could just go in and order a drink. Liquor by the drink was a game changer for the Texas restaurant business. And Mariano was counting on liquor by the drink, and particularly frozen margaritas, to be a mainstay of his new restaurant. But on opening night, too many people were ordering frozen margaritas, and the restaurant couldn't keep up. It was shaping up to be a disaster.
My heart sunk, and I just saw my success going down the tubes. And so I went to the bartender to get on him. What the hell are you doing? He showed me his hands, and they were all pruned. And he said, this is too much work. I said, let me find a solution. Well, you know, they say necessity is the mother of invention.
The next morning, Mariano said he got up early and he went to a 7-Eleven to get a cup of coffee. While he was there at the counter, he watched a little girl order a Slurpee. It just hit him like a bolt out of the blue. If that machine can make a Slurpee, it can make a frozen margarita. That was his moment of great inspiration. I wish that would happen to me with wording of a story. So he got in touch with a friend, and they went to a secondhand store, and they bought a soft-serve ice cream machine. They changed the compressor, they put in a bigger motor, and then he started tinkering with the actual formula.
Alcohol never freezes. We found that if we added more simple syrup, we could get it to freeze.
This was the very moment that the frozen margarita machine was invented and came into the world. It was such a success, they just became mainstays. It certainly changed bar culture.
People loved that machine. So many people told me after I had 2 margaritas, I couldn't stop, and I had 2 more.
Other restaurant owners started coming in and saying, we could do this with frozen daiquiris. We can do this with pina coladas. It ended up having this outsized effect that spread far beyond the boundaries of his one little restaurant in Dallas, Texas. At some point, the Smithsonian Institution decided that it ought to be commemorated.
See, there it is, the original first machine. It is now on permanent display at the Smithsonian, right next to Julia Child's kitchen. I wanted that. I just threw it out there to the universe. That's what I wanted for my life.
The frozen margarita machine validated him as a businessman, an inventor, and a person who really had value of Mexican origin. I think an innovator is somebody who is able to look at a situation and come up with a solution that is not logical.